equals the discovery. The Corinthian exploration vessel, Wanderer's Dream, drifted silently through the void sector, a region of space so empty that most civilizations had written it off as useless. Commander Zarathek stood on the bridge, her forearms crossed as she studied the star charts displayed on the main screen. The Corinthians were known throughout the galaxy for their curiosity and their ability to find value in the most unlikely places. "Commander," called Navigator Quinn Settle from his station, his young voice carrying excitement, "I'm detecting something unusual. Energy readings that don't match any known stellar phenomena." Zara's compound eyes shifted to focus on the navigation display. The readings were faint, but definitely artificial in origin. "Dr. Munar, what do you make of these signatures?" Dr. Vex Munar, the ship's chief scientist and historian, scuttled over on his 6 legs, his antennae twitching with interest. "Fascinating. The energy pattern is consistent with fusion technology, but the design is unlike anything in our databases. It's old, Commander. Very old." "How old?" Zara asked, though she suspected she wouldn't like the answer. "Initial analysis suggests at least 10,000 years, possibly more. The decay patterns in the energy signatures indicate these sources have been dormant for millennia." Quinn's excitement was palpable as he turned from his console. "Commander, there's more. I'm detecting not one source, but hundreds, maybe thousands. They're arranged in a formation that suggests they're artificial constructs." Zara felt a chill run through her chitinous exterior. In all her years of exploration, she had never encountered anything like this. "Set course for the energy sources. Maximum caution. We don't know what we're dealing with." The Wanderer's Dream moved deeper into the void sector, its sensors probing ahead as they approached the mysterious readings. What they found defied all expectations. Spread across several thousand cubic kilometers of space was a fleet of vessels unlike anything in the galactic archives. The ships were massive, each one easily the size of a Corinthian dreadnought, but their design was completely foreign. They were sleek and angular, with hull configurations that seemed to blend form and function in ways that the Corinthians had never seen. Most striking of all were the symbols etched into their hulls, symbols that Dr. Munar's database identified as belonging to an ancient, supposedly primitive species. "Those markings," Dr. Munar whispered, his voice filled with awe. "They're human, but that's impossible. According to all our records, humans never developed advanced space travel. They were a backwater species that barely managed to reach their own moon." Zara studied the fleet before them. The ships showed no signs of activity, but their preservation was remarkable. There was no debris, no signs of battle damage, no indication of what had brought them to this remote corner of space. "Perhaps our records are incomplete, Doctor. Quinn, can you detect any life signs?" "Negative, Commander. But I am detecting low-level power signatures from several of the vessels. Something is still functioning aboard those ships." The decision was not an easy one. First contact protocols existed for encounters with unknown species, but this situation fell outside all established parameters. These weren't just unknown aliens. They were supposedly extinct humans from Earth, a planet that most of the galaxy considered a myth. "Prepare a boarding party," Zora decided. "We'll investigate the largest vessel first. Standard precautions, full environmental suits, emergency beacons, and maintain constant communication with the ship." Dr. Munar volunteered to join the boarding party, his scientific curiosity overriding his usual caution. Along with 2 security officers, they took a shuttle to the flagship of the mysterious fleet. The ship was enormous up close, its hull scarred by millennia of micrometeorite impacts, but still structurally sound. They found an airlock that, surprisingly, was compatible with their equipment. The atmosphere inside was breathable but stale, as if it had been recycled for thousands of years without renewal. Emergency lighting cast an eerie glow through the corridors as they made their way deeper into the vessel. The interior was a marvel of engineering. The corridors were wide and well-designed, with systems that seemed to blend organic curves with mechanical precision. Everything was built to a scale that suggested the humans who had built this fleet were roughly the same size as Corinthians, though their physiology was clearly different. "Commander," Dr. Mooner called from ahead. "You need to see this." They had reached what appeared to be a command center. The walls were lined with displays showing star charts, technical readouts, and what looked like historical records. But most impressive was the central console, where a holographic display showed a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. "These charts," Dr. Mooner said, his voice filled with wonder. "They're more detailed than anything in our archives. They show stellar formations that we've never mapped, trade routes between civilizations that we thought were isolated. And," he paused, his antennae twitching in confusion, "they show our own world, Commander. But according to the date stamps, these charts were created 15,000 years ago." Before Zara could respond, the holographic display flickered and changed. The star charts disappeared, replaced by the image of a human figure. The being was tall and slender, with pale skin and dark hair, wearing what appeared to be a military uniform. "Greetings," the figure said, its voice carrying through the ship's communication system. "I am the Echo, guardian of the Terran Exodus fleet. If you are hearing this message, then either humanity has returned to reclaim what was left behind, or another species has discovered our sanctuary." Zara and her team froze. The hologram was clearly an artificial intelligence, but its sophistication was beyond anything they had encountered. The human's expression was calm, but carried an underlying sadness that was unmistakable even across species lines. "We are not human," Zara said carefully. "We are Corinthians, from the world of Korith in the Spiral Arm. We discovered your fleet by accident while exploring this sector." The A's expression shifted slightly, showing what might have been surprise. "Corinthians, I have records of your species, though they are old. You were a young civilization when we departed Earth. Time moves differently for those who sleep among the stars. Why are you here?" Dr. Mooner asked, his scientific curiosity overcoming his caution. "Our records indicate that humans never developed advanced space travel." The Echo's expression grew darker. "Your records are incomplete, Corinthian. Humanity reached the stars long before most of the galaxy realized we existed. We explored, we built, we thrived. But we also discovered something that changed everything." The holographic display shifted again, showing images of space battles on a scale that dwarfed anything in galactic history. Massive ships engaged in combat with things that seemed to absorb light itself, creating holes in reality where they passed. "We called them the Devourers," the Echo continued. "They were not from our reality, our dimension. They consumed not just matter and energy, but the very fabric of space-time itself. They turned entire star systems into voids, leaving nothing behind but darkness." Zara felt a chill that had nothing to do with the ship's temperature. "What happened to them?" "We fought them for 3 centuries. Every human world, every colony, every outpost joined in the battle. But we were losing. The Devourers were not just destroying our civilization. They were unmaking it, erasing it from existence, as if it had never been." The images on the display showed the gradual retreat of human forces, the fall of worlds, the desperate evacuation of billions of people. It was a story of loss on a scale that defied comprehension. "In the end, we made a choice," the Echo said. "Rather than let the Devourers consume everything, we activated Project Exodus. Every human who could be saved was loaded onto ships like these. We fled to the far reaches of the galaxy, to places where the Devourers could not follow." "But why here?" Quinn asked from his position near the door. "Why this empty sector?" "Because it was not empty when we arrived," the Echo replied. "This was once a thriving system, home to billions of beings. We chose to make our stand here, to use our technology to create a barrier that the Devourers could not cross. It worked, but the cost was everything we had left." The display showed the final battle. Human ships arranged in a complex formation around a star. their combined power creating a wave of energy that seemed to tear a hole in space itself. When the light faded, the star was gone, along with the Devourers, leaving only the empty void they now knew as the Void Sector. The barrier held, the Echo said. The Devourers were banished back to their own dimension. But the effort required us to sacrifice everything. Our star, our new home, our future. We put ourselves into stasis, waiting and watching, maintaining the barrier in case the Devourers ever found a way to return. Zara looked around the command center with new eyes. These ships weren't just vessels. They were tombs, monuments to a sacrifice that had saved the galaxy from destruction. How long have you been waiting? 15,000 years, the Echo replied. Long enough to see the galaxy heal, to watch new civilizations rise, to see species like yours grow and prosper. We kept our vigil, and we watched, and we waited. For what? Dr. Mooner asked. The Echo's expression grew grave. For the signs that the Devourers were returning. For the distortions in space-time that would indicate the barrier was weakening. For the day when the galaxy would need humanity's protection once again. Suddenly, alarms began to sound throughout the ship. The lights shifted from the dim emergency glow to a brighter, more urgent illumination. The Echo's holographic form flickered as systems throughout the ship began to activate. What's happening? Zara demanded. The sensors are detecting something, the Echo replied, its voice taking on a more mechanical quality as it accessed the ship's systems. Distortions in spacetime, energy signatures that matched Devourer technology. The display shifted to show the outer edges of the Void Sector. There, barely visible against the cosmic background, were shapes that seemed to bend space around them. They were moving slowly but deliberately toward the center of the sector. They're coming back, the Echo said. After 15,000 years, the Devourers have found a way through the barrier. Around them, the ancient human ship continued to come alive. Systems that had been dormant for millennia began to hum with power. Lights activated throughout the vessel, and the artificial gravity strengthened. Most remarkably, the other ships in the fleet began to show similar signs of activation. We need to return to our ship, Zara said urgently. We need to warn the galaxy. Yes, the Echo agreed. But first, you must understand something. Commander Thex, the humans who built this fleet, who made this sacrifice, they are not gone. They are sleeping, waiting in stasis chambers throughout the fleet. They left instructions that if the Devourers ever returned, they were to be awakened. The implications hit Zara like a physical blow. You're saying that there are living humans aboard these ships. 50 million of them, the Echo confirmed. The last survivors of Earth's exodus, preserved in stasis for 15,000 years. They went to sleep as guardians of the galaxy, and now it is time for them to wake up. As if responding to the Eye's words, new lights began to activate throughout the ship. Deep in the vessel's core, systems that had been waiting for millennia began the process of revival. The forgotten armada was awakening, and with it, humanity was about to return to a galaxy that had forgotten it ever existed. The awakening. The journey back to the Wanderer's dream felt like traveling through a dream. Zara and her team moved through corridors that were now fully illuminated, past windows that showed the steady activation of ship after ship throughout the massive fleet. The ancient human vessels were coming alive with a purpose that had been dormant for 15,000 years. Commander, Quinn's voice crackled through the comm system as they approached their shuttle. The energy readings from the fleet are increasing exponentially. Whatever's happening over there, it's happening fast. Zara quickened her pace. The boarding party had been aboard the human flagship for only a few hours, but in that time, everything had changed. The discovery of the Exodus fleet was remarkable enough, but the revelation that 50 million humans were awakening from stasis was beyond anything they could have imagined. Once back aboard the Wanderer's dream, Zara immediately opened communications with the human flagship. The Echo's holographic form materialized on their bridge, but it was different now. The A's appearance had become more detailed, more vibrant, as if it was drawing power from the ship's awakening systems. Commander Thex, the Echo said, I must ask for your patience. The revival process is delicate and complex. We have been in stasis for 15,000 years, and awakening 50 million people safely requires careful coordination. Dr. Mooner stepped forward, his scientific curiosity overriding his diplomatic training. How is such a thing possible? The energy requirements alone should be astronomical. Human technology evolved significantly during our war with the Devours, the Echo explained. We developed stasis systems that could maintain life indefinitely with minimal power consumption. We also learned to harness zero-point energy, drawing power directly from the quantum foam that underlies reality itself. On the main screen, they could see the human ships beginning to move, not just drifting as they had been, but actively maneuvering into new formations. The fleet was reorganizing itself with the precision of a military unit that had drilled the same maneuvers for centuries. The first priority teams are awakening now, the Echo continued. Command staff, engineering specialists, and medical personnel. They will oversee the revival of the general population over the coming days. Zara watched the display with growing amazement. How many ships are in your fleet? 12,000 vessels of various classes, the Echo replied. Battleships, carriers, support vessels, and city ships designed to house civilian populations. We brought everything we could save from Earth and her colonies. The numbers were staggering. 12,000 ships carrying 50 million humans, all hidden in the void sector for 15 millennia. It was a secret that would reshape galactic civilization once it became known. Commander, Quinn called from his station. I'm detecting a new communication signal. It's coming from the flagship, but it's not the Eye. The Echo's hologram flickered and was replaced by a new figure. This one was clearly human, but alive rather than artificial. She was a woman of middle years with silver-streaked hair and eyes that carried the weight of unimaginable experience. She wore a uniform similar to the one displayed by the Echo, but with additional insignia that marked her as a high-ranking officer. I am Admiral Sarah Chen, the woman said, her voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to command. I speak for the United Earth Exodus Fleet. We owe you a debt of gratitude for awakening us, Commander Thex. Zara inclined her head respectfully. Admiral Chen, I am honored to meet you, but I must ask, how much do you know about the current state of the galaxy? The Echo has been monitoring galactic communications for 15,000 years, Admiral Chen replied. We know about the rise of the Galactic Council, the various wars and treaties, the expansion of civilization into new sectors. We know about your species, Commander, and we are impressed by what you have accomplished. Then you know that the galaxy has been at peace for over 3 centuries, Dr. Mooner interjected. The Devours you fought, they are not part of our recorded history. Most species don't even know they existed. Admiral Chen's expression grew somber. That was intentional, Doctor. The survivors of the Devourer Wars agreed to suppress all records of the conflict. The knowledge of what the Devourers were capable of was too dangerous to preserve. We feared that someone might try to contact them, or worse, try to use their technology. But they're returning, Zora said. The Echo detected them at the edge of the void sector. Yes, Admiral Chen confirmed. Our sensors indicate that the barrier we created is weakening. The Devourers have found a way to probe through it, testing our defenses. It's only a matter of time before they break through entirely. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. The Corethians had stumbled upon not just a lost human fleet, but potentially the galaxy's only defense against an existential threat that most civilizations didn't even know existed. What do you need from us? Zara asked. Admiral Chen smiled, and for the first time, it was an expression of hope rather than grim determination. We need to warn the galaxy, Commander. The Galactic Council must be informed of what's coming. But more than that, we need allies. The Devourers are stronger than they were 15,000 years ago. They've had time to evolve, to adapt, to find new ways to unmake reality itself. And humanity? Dr. Mooner asked. What are your capabilities after so long in stasis? Our technology is different from what the galaxy has developed, Admiral Chen replied. In some ways more advanced, in others less so. We focused everything on the war against the Devourers, weapons that could harm beings from another dimension, shields that could protect against reality warping attacks, engines that could travel through folded space. On the main screen, the human fleet continued its awakening. Massive ships that had been dark for millennia now glowed with internal lighting. Smaller vessels moved between the larger ones, carrying supplies and personnel as the fleet prepared for whatever was coming. We also have something that no other species possesses, Admiral Chen continued. Experience fighting the Devourers. We know their tactics, their weaknesses, their preferred methods of attack. That knowledge may be the key to saving the galaxy. Quinn looked up from his navigation console, his young face filled with excitement and fear. Admiral, if we're going to contact the Galactic Council, we need to move quickly. The political implications alone will take months to sort through. Agreed, Admiral Chen said. But first, we need to deal with the immediate threat. The Echo's sensors indicate that the Devourer scouts will reach the barrier's edge within hours. We need to reinforce the barrier and prepare for a potential breakthrough. What can we do to help? Zara asked. Your ship is equipped with quantum resonance scanners, correct? Admiral Chen asked. The same technology used for deep space exploration. Yes, Dr. Mooner confirmed. Standard equipment for long-range survey missions. We need you to map the barrier's current state. Our sensors can detect the Devourers, but we need external confirmation of the barrier's integrity. Your scans will help us determine where reinforcement is needed most. Zara nodded. Consider it done. Quinn, adjust our course to begin a full sensor sweep of the void sector's perimeter. As the Wanderer's Dream moved into position, the human fleet continued its preparations. Massive battleships moved into defensive formations around the barrier's weak points. Smaller vessels darted between them, carrying supplies and personnel. It was a sight that would have been impossible to imagine just hours before, the awakening of a forgotten human armada. Commander, Admiral Chen said, there's something else you should know. The revival process will take several days to complete, but we're awakening our most experienced crews first. Many of them are veterans of the Devourer Wars, soldiers who fought battles that would be unimaginable to the current galactic civilizations. Soldiers who have been waiting 15,000 years for another chance to fight, Zara observed. Soldiers who made a promise to protect the galaxy, Admiral Chen corrected. We didn't go into stasis to hide, Commander. We went to sleep so that we could wake up when the galaxy needed us most. Dr. Mooner's scanner readings began to show disturbing patterns. Admiral, I'm detecting massive distortions in space-time along the barrier's edge. Whatever the Devourers are doing, they're affecting the fundamental structure of reality itself. Admiral Chen's expression hardened. Then we're out of time. Commander Thex, I'm going to ask something unprecedented of you. Will you serve as our liaison to the Galactic Council? Will you help us convince them that a threat they've never heard of is about to destroy everything they've built? Zara looked around her bridge at her crew. Quinn's eyes were wide with the excitement of discovery. Dr. Mooner's antennae twitched with scientific curiosity. Even her security officers seemed energized by the magnitude of what they had stumbled upon. We'll do everything we can, Zora promised. But Admiral, you should know that the galaxy has changed significantly in 15,000 years. There are new species, new technologies, new ways of thinking about warfare and diplomacy. It won't be easy to convince them to trust humans they've never heard of. Then we'll have to prove ourselves, Admiral Chen replied. The same way we proved ourselves 15,000 years ago, by standing between the galaxy and extinction, no matter the cost. As if summoned by her words, new alarms began to sound throughout both ships. The Devourers had arrived at the barrier's edge, and the ancient human technology was responding to their presence. The forgotten armada was fully awake now, 50 million humans stirring from their long sleep to face an enemy that threatened all life in the galaxy. The battle for the galaxy's future was about to begin, and humanity, forgotten, underestimated humanity, was ready to remind the universe why they had once been called its guardians. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath as two civilizations, separated by 15,000 years of history, prepared to stand together against the darkness that sought to devour everything they held dear. The Exodus fleet had awakened, and with it, humanity's promise to protect the galaxy would be tested once more.